Greetings, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. On our trade blast, I wanted to take you guys out to the beach here in Hallandale, Florida, and give you a little view. So the problem we have right now is that the wind speed is so high near the water that I have to kind of duck in between the buildings so that we don't get wiped out by those wind gusts. We're getting about 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts on a regular basis, but I thought it would be kind of cool to shoot out here for our blast for the day. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us, and thanks for being a Patreon supporter. This is our trade blast for the 24th of March, 2020. Man, what a crazy day already. I've been up since, I say, 2 in the morning, 2:30, and I'm kind of shocked right now because Tesla is up $30 pre-market, heading for $40. So the question is, what next? And I would say that I have the same question as you do. Basically, yesterday, instead of the stock being down on the close of the Fremont factory, the stock is actually up. So that was a big surprise. It was a big surprise to me that there wasn't at least a 30-point down day yesterday. Typically, Tesla has about 50 points worth of movement on a daily basis, and perhaps 1 out of every 5 days, it's a 100-point move. So with all those statistics in mind, do not be shocked to see Tesla cross $500 today and then settle back into the 450s, 460s. Is it possible? Yes. Do I think it should happen? No. Why? Because with the factory shutdown, where exactly are the sales and revenue coming from to justify the mega price that we're currently getting for Tesla? So we have a little equipment going by here. So the next thing I wanted to cover is just the fact that I'm totally blown away. I own some puts on Tesla. I expected it to be below 400 already, heading for 350, with the news about the factory being the biggest driver for this. So a couple of sort of thought processes came to mind. The first one that I came up with was, okay, is this the case where in the pinning action we talked before about, some of the really smart traders and rich traders will go ahead and move the stock to where they want it to be, and then everybody is sort of screwed over by the fact that, it just trades away from them while they're on the put side, and that to some extent is happening. But usually when you have a pin, it doesn't last more than 1 or 2 days, because there's a lot of forces that you have to control to make sure that you get, your solution done. So usually, it's like a 1 or 2 day phenomenon, maybe 3 days that we saw when Tesla's stock price was crashed. But the length of the run that Tesla's having is greater than what a pin should be able to do. So the next question that comes up is, what might be really going on here? So I had a chance to meet, there's a company called Oppenheimer and Company in New York, and I had a chance to study one of the, I think his name is Mr. Myers, I can't remember his name, this was many years ago, but I used to study, he made a comment that I was always amazed by, which is what he said is that he gets in his limousine every day on the way from the office home, and he will actually allow the Dow tape to run for the entire day in front of him, I guess at high speed because it would take a long time. And so what he said to me, or what he said to the interviewer was, look, I review the entire day, tape for the entire day, because if I'm on my game, I can actually see insider trading when it's happening because of unusualness of blocks of trades, of shares being traded, nature of companies, et cetera, he can kind of see that information lurking in what's happening on the tape. And so I bring this up relative to Tesla today because as I'm watching what's happening to Tesla right now, given that the factory is shut down, so there's all these data points that are sort of riding the picture of the company. The key data point is the factory shut down. The other key data point is how long is that factory going to be down? And the answer is we don't know. And so with the uncertainty associated with the factory from many angles, how is it possible for the stock to be doing this well? And the answer we're coming up with is China. Now, why is this coming up? Well, there's been an unanswered question about China that's been lurking for the last, I want to say, 2 months, maybe 3. And what that is that if you look at the drone footage that's coming out of China, there are a couple of different people that are regularly shooting that footage. The issue or problem that seems to be popping up is that there's a numeric conflict that seems to be going on. What that conflict is that there's a, we're having folks walk by here. There's a numeric conflict that's going on that hasn't been answered adequately. And that is that in Fremont, they're able to build by hand 128 Model 3s in the tent per day, right? And so when the China facility opened, what they were talking about was the fact that with one shift running, they're able to produce, I believe the number was 150 vehicles a day. So when I heard the number, I was thinking to myself, wait a second, you can build in a tent with no automation 120 or 120 units a day, and you can only build 150 or 180 inside of an automated factory that costs $2 billion to build out. So the question that came up was, something's wrong here. Either the factory can produce more than you're saying, or those workers in the tent are killers, because they could almost produce as many, as a factory would produce, and the factory costs a whole lot more than a tent does. So what this brings up is that we've been given general numbers of what to expect out of the factory, and it's our contention that those numbers are complete BS. And the real numbers you can get so in theory there are 2 shifts a day, right? There are a number of cars that are going to be produced. All you have to do is fly a drone at 3 or 4 time points during the day to see what came out of the factory, number one. And then number 2, you could even sit at the end of the road that the trucks run on and just count trucks and how many vehicles on top of them, and you know what that number is. So it's my belief / our belief that what's actually going on here is that the real number coming out of China is way better than we've been led to believe. And the hedge funds pay for somebody to count the number of trucks / drone video, and they know how many cars are coming out. And so if this thing crosses 500, what it tells us is that the volume of vehicles being produced and sold in China make up for any shortcomings going on in other parts of the world, so that Tesla's numbers are actually going to be pretty good. And so as a result, the stock price can rise with only the most savvy folks being in on this, and we think that's kind of what's going on right now. So can it go higher? Absolutely. If you actually know the number, you can be buying like a fiend right now ahead of folks. And so that's kind of my assessment of what I think is going on from a trade blast standpoint. Now, I wanted to note to you, for those of you who are at our highest level, which is $300, we have a new thing that we're going to start doing with you guys, which is we're going to be adding trading positions. So I'm part of a trading group that's based out of Detroit. we have kind of a leader of the group because he has a nice more than $1 million portfolio. I wouldn't say how much, but he's an aggressive trader, and he's been able to basically take $80,000 up to $2 million over the last 3 months. And so I've been sort of daily in touch with them, understanding what they're up to. One of his pupils is somebody I've talked about before. Her name is Shantae. So Shantae has pulled off a miracle. She's gone from, 10, 15K. She's ballooned up into the $500,000 neighborhood. And Shantae has sort of emerged as her own trader, even though she was trained, over the last couple of months and didn't know everything going on. She's just a really good business person and is what you might call a natural trader. So the reason why I'm going to start including kind of an email to those of you at the top end of our trading group is to just give you a feel for the positions they've taken and maintaining. And I'll usually do this, I think, by 3:30 Eastern. That way, if you feel like trading on what they're doing, that's your business. I'm just telling you the information. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just giving you a feel for what the scuttlebutt is among the trading group. So basically, the master had a completely different opinion, which I agree with, on Tesla, which is that it was going down. Shantae, on the other hand, went into what I call buck wild crazy trading yesterday. What she decided to do was, from what I can tell, she put up about something like $80,000, maybe even 100, and all of them in Tesla calls. And when I spoke with her yesterday, she was emphatic about the fact that she was on the call side and was going to stay on the call side. So not only did she stay on the call side with 440s, but according to her mentor, she actually scaled. She went 440s, 450s, 460s, and possibly 470s to own a total of, I believe, 60 calls. So based on the stock now being up 30 points, it's 465-ish. And if she hangs on to them, into the open, nicely, she could be in that 470, maybe 475 zone. If she hangs on $500, that 800K turns into somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 in a 24-hour period. And that is amazing. So I have to, hats off to Shantae and her decision. I think that's amazing numbers. Anybody would be happy to have in their portfolio. I just want to say congratulations. And man, I would have never done that trade. But the fact that she's made good money previously sort of put her in a strong enough position to be able to make this decision. And from what I could see, it's turned out to be the right one based on, kind of what the stock price is doing currently. So I'd have to say that I would have never done the trade. I think it's impressive. The target was to get to $1 million right away. And I think she's going to do it. And for the top level folks, we will be updating you on what everybody is up to on positions, so you can take a position if you feel like, based on what they're up to. Any rate, we'll see. I'm going to try it out for a few days and see how you guys think about what you guys think of the information. And then we may keep it or not. But we want to make sure we add value for those of you who are serious about trading and wanting to see what happens. Any rate, you survived our crazy wind and the noise and my using my light here to make sure you could see me. Thanks for taking time out. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, German, au revoir, French, le Hebrew, Khoda Hafez, Farsi, Zdravstvuyte, Russian, Ni hao ma, Chinese, Hejdo, Swedish. There's a couple of new ones I need to learn, including Korean. I apologize. Thanks once again for joining us. In Jamaica, we say, no respect, walk good man. Have a great day and bye for now.